I would like to get a bit more candid and personal about the podcast journey because not everybody knows how challenging it is. And from the day we started, from that moment wherein we realized, okay, it is a possibility and it is something that we could really explore. Let's see if it will work. Will somebody listen? I don't know. But we took that leap of faith and started this podcast that we are now 50 episodes later. Hello, Masterpiece Makers. My name is Norbert Elnar, and welcome to another episode of the Making a Masterpiece podcast. And guys, can you believe it? We are on our 50th episode today. 50. Wow, this is just crazy. When we were thinking about this episode, my team and I decided to take a little break from our usual format and take the time to celebrate and reflect upon this milestone of the 50th episode. And I actually asked them if, you know what, guys, is it too cheesy if we do a tribute episode on the 50th episode? Because most of the shows that we follow, it seems like 50 is very normal. I believe that we really go on and maybe even go like 500 episodes. Wow, that's a lot. But it's impossible to think that you'd reach 50. I honestly spoke to my team and said, guys, should we do a little bit of a tribute episode? And they said, like, yeah, why not? We'll just take a breather. And I would like to get a bit more candid and personal about the podcast journey because not everybody knows how challenging it is. From the day we started, from that moment wherein we realized, like, okay, it is a possibility and it is something that we could really explore. Let's see if it will work. Will somebody listen? I don't know. But we did. So we did take the leap of faith and started to create this podcast that we are now 50 episodes later. So just to give us a little bit of format of what we're going to do today, I would love to share the 5 most powerful lessons that I have learned in this podcast journey. It's only by the grace of God that this is actually happening. So allow me to share with you a little bit of my heart about this podcast journey. It's a milestone. I'm now imagining every conversation, every guest that we had on the show, every sponsor who believed in us, who took the risk in our journey. Thank you so much. That was so encouraging. And to you, especially you, Masterpiece Maker, who's listening to us right now, thank you so much because honestly, this will not be possible without you. Today, I'm going to share the top 5 lessons from the 50 episodes that we've done. To make it a little bit more fun, I also thought that it would be cool to put some Kingdom branding tips in between so that you can also really apply it into your own brand, into your own business, whatever you're doing in your marketing or in the company culture. Because we are making a masterpiece, right? We build your faith and inspire your business. So I hope that within the lessons, we're also going to share some tidbits of branding tips to keep us going and to keep your business amazing. The first lesson, a game-changing lesson, and I think I will always keep this lesson close to my heart, is that the process is humbling. Again, this is such an incredible journey that I really couldn't comprehend. The reality is I have been exposed to a lot of productions, even in my life in advertising back in the days. And of course, during my stint in South Africa, and even now in Masterpiece, when we do shoots and creative stuff, I really like the idea and the energy that comes with creating. But man, I underestimated how challenging a podcast is, from pre-production to researching to scheduling to post-production to marketing. Every single thing, every step takes effort. people joke around and say, yeah, it's another podcast, right? Of course, we need one more podcast. And in my head, it also came into my head when we started, like, do we really need another podcast? It looks easy. And of course, you start somewhere and then you grow into it. And I realize how complex and difficult it is, especially in my situation wherein I am recording here in Berlin online with my guests on the other side of the world. The setting up is all by myself. I underestimated how challenging it was, and I never expected the level of tasks that you have to go through just to be excellent in one thing, especially in delivering good quality content. It is a mission. And as much as I am very excited every single week that we get to do this, I know my guests would tell you that before we actually record an episode, we just pray. I always tell them I'm praying more for myself than for you. We ask the Lord to intervene and to guide our conversation, to bless every word that comes out of our mouth, because we understand the value and the weight that we carry in everything that we share, and we encourage you guys. So, yes, it's very humbling. There are moments wherein things didn't go as planned. When the internet connection is not working, or when you got the time zone wrong. So you're waiting for each other, and we honor the time of our guests. So sometimes we have to really adjust and record late or too early. These things disrupt the normal rhythm of our lives, but we accommodate that so we can deliver good quality and valuable content. I also remember a time when we were shooting episode 1, 22, and 23. We thought it was cool to do a podcast with a sit down interview in person. So you can just go back and check that in our playlist. It was during the time when I was visiting in the Philippines, and we said, like, it would be cool to interview the guest in the actual space. It was something different from what we normally did, which is the online call. That was also crazy. It was so fun, and shout out to my team who really helped pull things off and arrange everything. It's an experience that really humbles you because of the cause and the purpose of why we're doing it. So, yeah, it's just those memories flashing in my head right now, recalling every single mistake and fun moments that we had to go through shooting every episode of Making a Masterpiece. So, the funny thing is that people might think we can just wing it and fake it to make it, but it's really not that easy. Oftentimes, self doubt creeps in, and this language in your head tells you, are you really sure? Are you really worth it? Insecurity comes up, and that's a constant battle. You need to shut down in your brain and tell, like, that's a lie from the enemy. We're actually doing this as we walk into our calling. So, yeah, these things play so much in our process. The process is really humbling. A kingdom branding tip is that excellence takes effort. Your brand won't grow overnight. So stay consistent, stay persistent, refine your message constantly, and most importantly, commit to the process. Every process is a step of progress. So commit to the process, trusting the process, and you're really just being humble enough to admit mistakes. When things don't go well, it's fine. We can improve next time. The important thing is that we strive for excellence, that we are constantly refining, and then we show up. We show up. We show up consistently so that we could really give the value that people need. And that's why we do it. Yes. Lesson number 1, the process is humbling. Lesson number 2 is learning to accept my own voice. Believe it or not, it was so hard to make peace with the sound of my voice. And that's why I really loved our episode with Sonia Bordage when we interviewed her in episode 47. She talks about overcoming your fear and insecurities in communication. That episode, you can watch it again. It speaks to me because it's really one thing to listen to your voice. Sometimes we don't hear it the way we hear it when it's played back to us. Doing that every single week. I am not a professional singer, so my insecurity comes out there. It was challenging at the beginning. But you know what? After 50 episodes, I have not just learned to embrace my voice, I've also realized that I should love it and take care of it and really honor what God has given me. It's not perfect, of course, and I'm not saying I have the best voice quality in the world. I believe that beyond the sound and tone of the voice, what's more important is the message that the voice carries. Every single episode, every conversation I have with a leader, a CEO, is a message that we truly believe is going to bless someone out there. And to those of you who are listening and who have been following us, you can hear us sometimes behind, and I'm sure you can just imagine how it is. But really, 50 episodes has taught me to be more comfortable in my own voice, accept it and honor it and own it. Because as Sonia said, it's your personal brand. Like your voice is your own brand. Nobody will have the same voice as you. A branding tip is to remember that it's always authenticity over perfection. People connect with the real and not the perfect. Your brand's voice is unique. Own it, refine it, and use it boldly. In our connections every day, we have to remain true to our core and remember that it's not about being perfect, it's about being authentic. So, yeah, that's lesson number 2, learning to accept my own voice. Years ago, I started a personal journey to help provide professional creative communication solutions to brands born out of faith and big dreams, but running on limited resources. Before finding my true calling in ministry, I was an advertising professional, and I always felt frustrated whenever a great idea, product, service, or community initiative didn't take off simply because branding wasn't a priority. I've seen too many faith-oriented entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders make this mistake because they don't have access to professional creative services, or they are put off by the high cost and consumerist approach. I decided to use my experiences in mainstream advertising and in ministry to bridge the gap. The result is a 6-module branding course that can help transform brands, effectively tell their stories, reach their audience, and help them achieve their goals. Teaching this to business owners and leaders, I've seen it transform confusing concepts into real brands that cut through the noise and make real everyday impact. I believe that brands can be a blessing to the world, solving problems and easing burdens, fueled by passion and driven by purpose. That is what we aim to do with Masterpiece Kingdom Brands. If this resonates with you and you're ready to uncover your Kingdom brand, let's connect. Sign up for the Masterpiece Kingdom Brand Building course today. And speaking of voices, the third lesson I realized after doing 50 episodes of Making a Masterpiece is that I'm always thankful that I get the honor of learning from amazing guests. We have interviewed amazing CEOs, founders, and visionaries from over 12 countries, from Canada to Australia. Almost every continent has been represented in our guest. So I think about it and I go like, wow, that's crazy. There's no way I could have manufactured that on my own. It's really just God. Sitting down with some of the most brilliant minds and thought leaders, every conversation I had on this show really expanded my thinking. I did not just ask questions that I was personally curious, but I really tried to put my shoes into every small business owner, every faith-filled person, every visionary, to ask the questions that we all want to know, that are practical, that are really insightful, because we don't get that chance every day. We read a book, but we normally don't get the chance to talk to the author. We've had a few authors come on our show, and it feels like when you talk to them, the book comes in a different light, experience their personality and how they interact. It's just amazing. I really hope that as these interviews changed me, you who are listening get to acknowledge the wisdom our guests have shared to us. I feel the honor, but also the responsibility that we have this platform as a gift where we can amplify the voices of our guests and inspire others. That's one of the best things that I really, really love doing on this show. So, as a tip for our Kingdom brands out there on this lesson, my tip would be collaboration is a brand growth hack. Build relationships with people in your industry, feature them and learn from them. Their audience will also discover you. I loved every single guest who came on our show. Thank you to all the guests for your generosity, for your openness, and for your heart of just sharing. I think we've been blessed that our guests have been very generous in terms of sharing their stories and being vulnerable in our show and just being real. I'm sure our masterpiece makers have really taken it into by heart, and I'm really proud of that, and I'm so happy to be part of that. Lesson number 4. After 50 episodes of Making a Masterpiece, I have learned the incredible value and power of community. The unexpected gift of podcasting. I thought this would be a solo journey, but I found a community in my team, my guests, and my listeners. My team, you guys are legends. You're heroes. Shout out to my team, Sean, Joanna, and Mel. You guys are doing such a good job. There's no way I could have done this without you. And to all my guests from season 1 until you have just opened your hearts and shared your brands and how you honored God with your business. Thank you so much. Making a Masterpiece as actually is also our pre-production calls. I'm just sharing it to you now. So before a guest comes to our show, we do a pre-production call prior to our recordings. I purposefully do a pre-production call because I want to know the guest more, and we want to really strategically position our conversation. And this moment of getting to know the guest off the record, it's so fun. I've reconnected with friends and I created a community and space around it. It's really incredible. And I get to interact with my team weekly with that. And I have listeners who are tuning in, who are waiting for every episode, and all those likes, comments, ratings, they help. Every single interaction counts. It blesses our hearts. It keeps us going. In the days where I felt like quitting, the support, the feedback is powerful, and it allows us to do more and gives us strength to keep pushing forward. I remember there was a time when we were starting our podcast. I think it was episode 7, that episode of Liesel from Australia. She's a singer and an author based in Australia. Hi, Liesel. That episode, guys, it was one of the very, what you call, the heart-wrenching episode. So I remember when we aired this episode, one of my acquaintance, we were friends but not that close yet because we just met each other. I can clearly remember that I got a message that morning when the episode aired. Norbert, thank you so much for that episode. I was just crying in the bus listening to the episode because the story of Liesel really pierced her heart, and she was able to relate to that, and she was so blessed by it. And that feedback, that message, that moment confirmed what God has placed in her heart. And I said, wow, God, I'm just so thankful that you allowed us to do this and share these stories, because this life has been impacted because of that conversation. It was such an encouragement and a breath of fresh air. Sometimes when we do the edits ourselves, our team will say, that was a very powerful conversation. Then we get to talk about it and process it. It's just been miraculous. I think that's the power of media, intentionality, and the power of community. So, Masterpiece Makers, I love you guys. You are really close to my heart. Your patience, your love in following us, in being patient with us. And it's incredible. And even to the sponsors that we had in the very beginning, I remember the podcast is really like a leap of faith. I was talking to one brand, pitching the idea of this podcast. That brand said yes to the crazy idea of the show without even seeing anything from it at that time. So they were able to sponsor a few episodes when we were starting. That was such a big encouragement because to me, it felt like, wow, God, you're just opening doors, you're blessing us. And these people are trusting us right now. They haven't even seen anything. There's no output yet, but they're already there positioning themselves and telling us that it's going to be good, do what you need to do. And that to me is a miracle. It really is. It doesn't make sense. I've been in advertising for quite some time and nobody has done that. Nobody sponsors something that they haven't even seen. Nobody, it's like, who are you? Like, why would you do that? And then what's in it for us? It's always about what's in it for us. But this brand already gave us a push and said, we got you, we support you. And that was a miracle. So, man, the community that this podcast has built has blessed me and my team and all the fellow masterpiece makers there. Community creates momentum. When you surround yourself with people who believe in what you do, you gain strength to keep pushing forward. As a kingdom branding tip to our tribe, build a tribe, not just an audience, right? We're here. Every episode, I tell you that you're a masterpiece maker because I genuinely believe that you are making your own masterpiece. And at the end of this journey, you will be proud to sign off at the artwork of your life and just say, God, this is the masterpiece of my life. Build that tribe. It's not an audience, it's your family, it's your community. Brands that foster community thrive. Engage, encourage, and connect with your people consistently. And lastly, the fifth lesson I learned in my podcasting journey is that I realized that podcasting is also an expression of God's calling in my life. This is a very unexpected journey. I never saw myself as a podcaster. Honestly, I had a crazy stutter when I was young. Was told so many times that I'm not good enough. And I have my insecurities, my accent, my vocabulary, all these things. I can give you a lot of excuses why I will not even try. But the truth is, I never saw myself as a podcaster. I've been exposed to a lot of involvement in church when I'm like narrating a concert or making the voiceover for something. But because it was all scripted, it was okay. But not like this, not in this format wherein I need to really interact and ask questions. So it's a very unexpected journey. But I realized that God really has a bigger plan. The struggle is real, but the purpose is even greater. On tough days, I know that at the end of the day, even if I felt like it was not my best performance, it felt like I'm just mumbling words that I don't know if it was correct or not. At the end of every single tough day, I know that this podcast is impacting people. And that makes every challenge worth it. I also want to encourage our masterpiece makers to listen to that inner voice and to that promptings of God in your heart, because sometimes God calls you to something you never expected. It takes obedience. Remember that obedience is attached to a blessing, and that your obedience is an opportunity for God to move and do greater things beyond yourself. I have had the honor to really experience that through this podcast. It's an incredible journey, and I do not take it for granted. So, our kingdom branding tip on this lesson is remember that your brand has a purpose beyond profit. Align your business with your values and calling. And when purpose meets strategy, impact follows. 50 episodes, hey? 12 countries, 50 episodes, and we believe for more. Masterpiece makers, thank you for being with us in this journey. We do not take it lightly. Thank you to all my guests, all my sponsors, and especially you Masterpiece makers for hanging in there, for showing up with me every time. I just pray blessing over your life, over your brand, over your business. And don't worry, we will do our very best to help you build your masterpiece, to keep building your faith and inspiring your business. 50 episodes. To God be the glory. Thank you, Jesus, that you are with us, that you use us to amplify your voice and influence in the marketplace. It's just been an incredible journey. So I hope you guys learned something today, and thank you for allowing me to share my heart with you. Making a masterpiece is way bigger than Masterpiece Kingdom Brands. It's really about you. It's about the masterpiece that God has placed in your life. It's about the masterpiece that you are creating. It's about the masterpiece that you are producing out of the artwork of your life. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining me on our 50th episode. Please go back and binge the last 50 episodes. It has been an incredible journey. And if you haven't, please subscribe, give us a rating, give us a review wherever you consume your podcast. Also, check out our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for allowing us into your life every single week. We have more amazing episodes coming up. We'd love to hear your comments. If you have a request, if you have a topic that you want us to cover, let us know. And yeah, keep building your masterpiece, keep the faith, stay inspired, grow your brand with purpose. Until next time, this is the Making a Masterpiece podcast.